Welcome back to the show. Now we're getting the second half of our Sinners review, and now we're getting into the most memorable scenes. And thinking about this, obviously, I think the juke joint scene where Sammy's singing, and they go through all the changes of genres of music, from new age music, DJs, just everything. That scene was very captivating. I mean, Mary and Stack, with when she kills Stack pretty much, and then whole movie changes. Um, I'd also say the conversation in the beginning of the movie with Smokestack and the guy who they buy the juke joint from, where he's like, like, I don't ever, like, if you guys ever take over this, like, you're gonna every one of you's gonna get killed. And Smoke actually ends up doing that at the end of the movie. Where he knows they're trying to take care. They're still racist. They have bad hidden agendas. And I also think that was a message that Ryan Coogler was saying about the film industry. That, you know what I mean? Like, he was saying a big. I was like, whoa. I see where he's going with this. Like, that was a big message, hidden message in that. But to you, kind of like, what were some of your memorable scenes?
It's funny you say that because my memorable scene was that juke joint scene where they're playing different genres of music. I made a comment in the beginning of this. I said the music was a character in
Yeah.
this film, and that particular scene showcased that. Just it was phenomenal, and maybe it's because of where I mean I saw it. Obviously, you see these things in the theater, but
Mhm.
because of where I was and because of where it was, I'm like, whoa! It
Yeah.
just
It
captivating.
blows your mind. Yeah.
Um, I think that scene you're referring to where he's talking about the movie industry, I personally thought to an extent it was a shot at Warner Brothers because they're the ones who produced it, because Ryan Coogler is going to get his rights back to this film, and I think he said 25 years.
Yeah.
And I think obviously he wanted the rights to the film sooner.
Yeah. Any
Any
reasonable director
director
would want that.
would want that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I believe he was shooting it. I don't believe he was just shooting at the movie industry. He was shooting at the industry in general,
Yeah.
from music to business to owning real estate or some type of
I mean,
commercial real
what did
estate.
Prince say? What did Prince put a slave tattoo on his foot? Like, he said, "I'm a slave to the industry."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's funny. Prince was the only one who was bold enough to come out and say something like
Actually
that,
say that.
and
Yes.
he figured it out. And I never. It's funny you say that. Just a quick side note. If anyone who's watching this, there's a quick interview of Prince being interviewed, and they're talking about Mariah Carey signing like a $20 million deal for each album, and he basically says like, well, if I sell a million copies of my album and it sells about, like, I don't know, half of $20, well, if
Hmm.
I send a million copies of that, I've already made $10 million. If I sell 2 million, I've already made 20. If I sell 3 million copies, I make $30 million. So it sounds like to me Mariah got screwed. And
Literally.
I say that to say, in this movie, the
Mm.
dialogue that's being talked about in regards to buying the juke joint and buying real estate, having property,
Yeah.
that is basically what Smoke and Stack
We're doing.
were
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah.
And they had to face, like, okay, if they were able to get it, these are the hoops that they had to jump through. If they were
Yeah.
not able to get it, it's obvious because the people who were selling it obviously didn't want them to have 100% of it. They don't want it
Mm.
to have some of it or none of it at all.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, that's just a side tangent. But my favorite scene is, like I said, the juke joint, because of the different genres of music and how much it was being played. You took the words out of my mouth when you started, but I really enjoyed that scene. Like I said, the music was a character in this film.
For sure. When it came, that scene is so interesting when Sammy starts singing, because there's two different reactions from Smoke and Stack. Like, Stack is like really happy, and he loves the performance, and he loves seeing Sammy do what he does well, and like really pretty much reveal his gift and show everybody what he's good at. But Smoke is like, it's not like he doesn't like it, he just doesn't he looks disturbed. Like what? How did you interpret that? Like how two different reactions to what was happening with Sammy.
So Smoke seemed like he should not be the one singing, or what was like Smoke didn't embrace it, in my opinion. He didn't break, and I don't. The movie didn't do a good job of articulating
That's
why.
what I was like. That was a
So
real. That was an unanswered question.
it was unanswered because I'm kind of like, okay, what does he see that I don't see? And
Yeah.
a part of me is like, well, maybe it's obviously the demon in him. So I don't know,
I
or
mean,
it could.
or was Smoke more spiritual than Stack was? You know what I mean?
Right. But even in that, like, but Stack seemed like a person. Well, maybe it's because, Stack obviously married a white woman. He's a little bit
Yeah.
more accepting to
Yeah.
different things and different people. And Smoke seems like a traditional black person where even if you do see something different,
It's
like a
like,
different
I don't
singing, it's
trust
kind of
it.
like
I don't trust
exactly
it.
you're more willing to question it than to accept it, which is not a bad thing, but
Yeah.
it can come off as arrogant.
Yeah. I was gonna say that because Smoke seemed a little arrogant, and Stack was
Hmm.
kind of like, he's like, man, this is about making money. Like he's good, he's talented, he's gonna make money. Like that's what we want to
Right.
do. Like he's gonna get more people to come here. And I think even from the jump, even when Annie, Smoke, and Stack were talking in the back about just the money exchanges, they're like, bro, what are you not seeing? You know what I mean? Like what are
Hmm.
you not seeing about this? And I think Smoke was. It's kind of interesting and fascinating that he was the last one standing. Besides, besides Sammy, he was the last one standing. He was the last one, kind of. And I think the ending. Well, I mean, there's multiple endings. Like, spoiler, like there's actually, but like the traditional ending was when he like went to heaven, saw his baby, saw Annie, and it's like he was the transition from that, from almost dying, killing one more man, then going into heaven was very fascinating. About how that you finally get that last action scene where like Michael B. Jordan's in his like hero bag, tank top, and just killing, and then you go to like the spiritual realm, which I thought was just
Hmm.
a great
Hmm.
flip.
Hmm.
Before we move on to memorable quotes, did we get to did we already get to memorable quotes?
I don't think so. No.
Okay. Before we get to memorable quotes, I do want to say that post ending
Hmm.
was very fascinating because we see, I
And
mean, Sam
long.
and long, I'll say, because we do see that Sammy still has the scar, but much later, and then you get Stack and his girl. One of the most fascinating things was how Stack said, "We have all your records, but it's nothing like the original. It's just it's
Hmm.
just something about the real. You know what I mean?
Right.
What did you kind of think about the post ending scene or scenes?
I felt like they're setting up a new original universe that
Honestly,
they could potentially continue. I know there are certain characters who are dead, but because of the universe they set up, who's to say they can't come back? I'll say that I did enjoy the post credit. However, my only criticism is that could have been put in the movie. I feel as though.
yes.
But I enjoyed the scenes for what they were, but I feel like it was more so a setup, like their stories are not over.
I can kind of see that. I can because I heard some people say like, oh, like um, there's gonna be like a sequel and this and I don't see a sequel at all. I mean, unless you do like I mean, you could make a spin-off series with Smoke and Stack. You could do that about like what happened in Chicago, which I would
Mm,
like. I really want to know what happened you know what I mean? Like, I think
mm,
that part, and that's another part of it is like when the girl honks and Smoke comes out
mm,
and shoots the two guys and he's like, oh man, Smoke, I didn't know that was you, like this and that. That was just so funny. Like at the time the time he's getting shot, but yeah, I think
mm.
a spinoff with those guys would be very interesting. Um, I'm trying to see where was did you have any quotes that kind of stood out to you in this movie?
There isn't a quote per se. However, that scene where what's that character's name? The big guy.
I can't believe we haven't talked about cornbread yet. We haven't even talked about cornbread. It's so funny.
Yeah, he was an interesting part character in that movie too. But what was that big guy's name? The big dude, the fat dude, big black dude.
It was cornbread.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
it's cornbread.
Duh,
Yeah.
Alex. Yeah,
No, no,
cornbread.
you.
So cornbread comes to go get his money, but they are skeptical to give him his money. And let me just say,
Something ain't adding up.
cornbread did a good job hiding his side.
Yeah.
But that moment he reached for his hand,
Yeah.
and you can, bro. I don't know how the tension was in your theater, but
It was
all I
high.
kept
It was
feeling
high.
is like this ongoing tension. And I'm like, oh my God, what is about to happen? And here's the thing, the music in the movie, it doesn't get louder or it doesn't get softer. It just stays consistent.
Hmm.
And the
Very
moment he
consistent.
reaches out for his hand, all hell breaks loose. And you're like, oh my God. Like, and we knew just by his posture, like, okay, he's clearly cornbread's
Yeah.
clearly not who is not cornbread
He said,
anymore.
you know, we should be, you know, we should be loving one another. You know, which was like what the vampire said about
Mm-hmm.
we should care about one another. We're family.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but some of the quotes I had, you keep dancing with the devil. One day he's gonna follow you home. You twins now we're cousins. There are legends of people with the gift of making music so true. It conjures spirits from the past and the future. That's why if I'm playing devil's advocate, that's why I kind of see what Ryan Coogler was saying because I think he's trying to say that music can bring spirits. It can conjure, which is a very true thing, good or bad. You know what I mean? I do think
Yeah.
like that is a thing that music actually does, and we've seen that.
Mm.
Also, I don't believe in magic, ghosts, demons, just power. I've been all over this world. Have seen men die in ways I didn't even know was possible. I am your way out. We're gonna kill every last one of you, and then we've been back a long time. We're back now. Yeah, I mean that music one definitely. I thought that was just kind of like that was the central. If there was one thing that I think Kugler was trying to do was just trying to show that music just it's so powerful, and I think that juke joint scene where we're showing all the genres shows that. I mean, music has always
Mm.
been the one thing that's like kept Black people together, even during even the slave era in time. That people sang, you know, they sang hymns, they sang songs while they were having to go through literal hell to survive each day, and I think like that's something that kind of like you know is a true point in it.
Mm.
um Getting to our next topic, what did you like the most about the storyline? I mean I really do like how much it showed in one day. We got to remember that was one day. That was literally one day when he's like, it starts off with Sammy driving to the church, and then the movie goes all the way back around to that one scene. Like it shows this in a day about what happened, and literally at the end of the movie, Sammy said like that was the best day of my life before the sun went down, before everything got crazy. Like, to capture that 24-hour period was phenomenal to me. But what did you kind of like the most about the storyline?
Um, I love, well, my favorite thing about the storylines, I love how Smoke and Stack are the same but different, and I just love every moment of dialogue that they had with each other,
Hmm.
and supporting characters. And I love how you pointed out that this movie does happen in a day, because you're right, because once it becomes nighttime, like it's a whole nother movie after that.
Yeah,
Like
it's
it's
done. It's done.
the exactly. And then you would think that this have at least what happens when stuff starts popping off. This has taken a place over maybe a day or two,
Yeah, but it's like
not
one day.
one day. And it makes you wonder, like, y'all went through a whole 24 hours of this?
I would be like,
A
nah,
whole 24
I'm
hours.
good. I'm good.
I'm good, my
I'm good on
G.
that.
I'm good. At least I can say this. I
Mm.
don't watch, I'm not a horror fan or anything like that. I
Yeah.
will watch thrillers and stuff, but I can
Oh
say
yeah, thrillers I can
all
sign up for you.
the thrillers that I have seen have never taken place in 24 hours.
No.
There's always been
And that's
some.
what's so tough. That's what's so tough about this. It's like
Mm,
I love how he started. You know, I love how he started the film like that with literally the final scene.
Mm-hmm.
I love when movies
I'm
do that. I love when movies do
Yeah, because it makes you go
that.
back
It
to
feels better.
how it all started.
Yeah, I love
And
that.
mind you, the ends, it makes it seem like, okay, 6 months before, right? Nah, the day of. And I'm like,
I was like, wow,
oh.
that's a day. That is a day.
And then it kind of makes me wonder, okay, well, what's gonna happen after this point? Nothing.
Nothing. That's it.
I'm like,
Because I don't think
wow.
because we couldn't take anymore after that.
We could, and I was like, oh my goodness. Like, if that happened within 24 hours, just imagine what goes on in 6 months.
Because I'm used to like seeing films where it says 3 years later, like they do it like they're like nah,
And
we're doing it.
I was expecting that at the end, like three
Yeah.
years later or a month later. Nothing.
Yeah, absolutely not. How did you think about how the film was shot? Like what were it was beautiful.
um
It's beautiful.
Beautiful, bro. So you can definitely tell the details in the IMAX cameras that he used. Um this film, in my opinion, look better than uh I would say Coogler's previous films in terms of the camera action and the cinematography.
Hmm.
Like it reminds me of how Creed 1 was shot,
Ooh, yeah, that was so good.
because
That was so good.
it was so character driven, and you can definitely tell the growth in terms of how he's directing his crew from each film to film. Now I don't know how much influence he had on the Black Panther movies, because Marvel gets involved in those things,
Yeah.
but if he were to take anything away from those movies and add it to what he did with this, he did a really good job, because like I said, it was shot pretty, and the editing did not look choppy. It did not look crazy. I will say, to an extent, you can obviously see that the CGI is not, it's not terrible. It's not terrible at all, but it's not cheap. It's not cheap. But you could definitely tell, like, especially when Cornbread turns into his other side, you could see that it's a little fake here and there. But other than that, this was a pretty film. Um, the tone of this movie, amazing. I just think, again, unfortunately, I disagreed with the subject matter.
Yeah. Yeah. The subject matter is definitely what gets you. I mean, what gets some for sure. To get to our last topic, 10 years from now, do you still think this will be watchable and intriguing? This is actually, you know, I said this the other day. I feel like this might be like the Get Out of this decade. You know how Get Out was like the defining, and I saw so many people talking about this movie, like certain scenes. Like if you see, they said like where they the scene where the picture of Annie. Delroy Lindo's
Hmm.
smoke and Mary is say if you see us looking like this, that means you weren't invited. Like all these memes, all these different things that you see, like
Hmm.
you just get certain snapshots of it because it's a moment film. Like I told Tyler after the first day I saw it, I was like, man, I still think Dune Part Two is better, and I think Oppenheimer. But then when I left it, I was like, oh man, this is gonna be the defining movie of the day. I'd be shocked. Not saying there aren't gonna be other great movies, but it's gonna be up there in terms of like the great movies of this decade because it did what it had to do, and I think it left it a mark that even though I don't recommend having this movie on loop because yes, it does, it can be disturbing, but it's one of those movies that when it's on, it's gonna be hard not to watch because it's just you think of certain scenes and it just gets you. Like even the transition from when that vampire flies to Mary and then it goes to I forget what her name is, but the one that Preacher Boy you know has a
Yeah,
crush on.
yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
And she's
yeah,
singing that I mean that's just beautiful filmmaking.
yeah.
But to you, kind of, how do you think it'll age a decade from now?
This movie will definitely age very well. I think people are going to watch this on repeat. I will say this, because well, before I say that, let me say this. I see the memes. I see the culture it's becoming, because I remember when Get Out was coming out. I was still in Pensacola at that time, and I said I didn't want to see it. Like I thought it was gonna be garbage. I remember,
Yeah.
I remember telling Tyler, to his face, I was like, "Yo, this movie's gonna be trash." And we all went to go see it. As a group. It was a group of us who went, and Tyler was part of that group. And I walked away from it like, yo, I want to be a TSA agent because Rail was the
He's
MVP
the MVP of the movie
of
to
that
me.
movie.
Yeah,
But
told you not to go to that house. I told you not to go to
I told you not to go in that.
that.
But yeah, but I remember the after effect of that movie where people were doing the memes and doing all these different
Sunken
jokes
place,
and
the
sunken
sunken
place
place.
stuff like that. And this movie has adopted that narrative. So yes, I think people 10 years from now would love this film. And definitely embrace it for what it is. What I was going to say before that was uh I would, as a Christian, and this is what I kind of struggle with when it comes to my Christian beliefs in art.
Yeah, art
Um,
that can clash. Yeah, that definitely clash.
I would not. I think it's good to watch this movie from a filmmaking artistic perspective, but conjuring spirits is very real. So I'd be very careful for individuals who people who want to watch it, especially watch it consistently because
You can bring that in. You can bring
you could
that in.
bring that into your personal life, and I don't know if that's something that
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
anyone is ready for. And then also keep in mind that comment you made about how thing like
Music,
music and conjure spirit.
conjure spirit.
That's a
That's a real
very
thing.
that's a
That's a
very
real
real
thing.
thing. That's a
That's a real
very
thing.
real thing, and I think that's why I said I initially disagreed with the subject matter because of the fact that if people tend to believe that you're welcoming things that you are probably are not aware of, and I would hope that you have a strong spiritual backing that if something like that were to happen, you know how to combat it and you know how to go to God about it. uh, that's why I say, for me, unfortunately, this is a movie I'd probably like watch like maybe once every few years, but
Yeah, I wouldn't. I wouldn't.
it's
Yeah,
not a movie I would watch back to back to back to back to back. It's just
yeah.
because of the subject matter. Now, if the subject matter wasn't what it was, oh yeah, like I definitely watch it.
I'd have this on loop because it's just so good.
It's so good, but
Yeah,
because of that and because of my beliefs, I would caution people, even if you are not a believer, hey, you might not want to welcome something that you are unfamiliar with in your home.
for sure. Yeah, I definitely agree, man. This is probably one of the most like complex films we've had in such a long time, just because of the subject matter and the fact that we do know as Christians, like spirit. That's a sensitive subject. That's a really sensitive subject because spirits
Right.
are a real thing, and we know like when you entertain that for so long, you know what I mean? It's almost like the Candyman effect. When you entertain that and say certain things, you're just like bringing into things that you don't need to. But man, it's a phenomenal in terms of filmmaking. Bravo to Ryan Coogler. I mean,
Mhm.
he's one of a kind. Like you said, he could go in the pantheon list of the greatest directors we ever had. And to have the mind to do this is not easy at all. Like it actually is.
Right.
Like I think it's gonna rack up I'm not gonna say because I know the Oscars is weird, but I think it's definitely gonna rack up a lot of nominations. I mean, it has to. Yeah,
I hope so. I hope so. And they're gonna be, I won't say who because I sometimes interact with some of these individuals, but there are gonna be certain movie pundits who are gonna probably feel differently about it. Like
oh yeah.
they acknowledge it's a good movie, but they don't acknowledge the fact it should be Oscar worthy, which I don't see
I
how you
don't
can put
see
two and two
how they can
together.
do that. Like,
Right.
that's why I don't even. I'm not even gonna get my expectations up because I know there's gonna be some weird. Yeah, there's gonna be some
Yeah,
weird
because there are
content.
gonna be some stuff that's nominated that shouldn't be nominated at all.
It's always that one movie. Like, how did that get nominated over that? Like, like what in the world?
Right.
But Alex, thank you so much for being on. It's always a pleasure. Anything new you got coming up? The channel.
So on today's the 15th, on May 28th, we are continuing with Growing Pains, the second half of season one,
Hmm.
where I'm dropping more episodes about just Growing Pains is the podcast that I started on my YouTube channel. So
Yeah.
on May 28th of this year, we're gonna continue with that. I'm also starting a new series called it's a working title. It's called not fan out, but it's what is it called? It's something fan. I can't remember. Basically, where I have these verses. Today I just put up a little something on my YouTube and Instagram where I put the Power Rangers versus the Ninja Turtles. Who do you think
Okay.
would win? And I'm just getting a crowd participation. And then
Hmm.
the videos I'll be doing is just basically a back history of these particular individuals, where they come from, how did they come together, and who would win in the fight. Kind of like death battle, but more so you decide who wins.
Hmm.
And then also, me and my friends, we are continuing Momentum Movie Trivia, which is a trivia game show that I put together. We're still in shooting and post production of that. So that'll be done hopefully by the end of the summer. And then I am still doing interviews and reaching out to people. The last interview I did was with comedian Marcus D. Wiley. He just put out a special on Ali Sadiq's network, and hopefully, I'm saying it now because maybe he might watch this. But Tim Ross is supposed to be
Okay.
coming on the show.
Okay. All right. I
Please,
would love that. That would be
please watch
incredible.
this
That would be
video
incredible, Tim.
and
That would be
answer
incredible.
my emails, my friend. You,
I
I
love
see
that.
that you read them. So,
Oh,
and I see
dang.
that, and here's the thing: we've been in communication,
Okay, okay.
but bruh, like get back with me. I don't mind flying to Dallas or wherever he is in
Oh yeah, I
Texas.
would do that sit down too.
So
I would do that
so
sit down
so we
too.
can do that. But more interviews like that are coming, and then by the grace of God, I'm gonna try to get Philip Anthony Mitchell as well. I haven't reached out to his people yet, but I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So
Oh my
I'm
gosh,
sure
that
I
would
can get
that
him on
would
the
be
show.
groundbreaking. That would be groundbreaking
You
if you
know what I
get
want?
Philip.
You know what I want? Honestly, I would love to have him and your brother on the show.
Oh
I would
gosh,
love just to see.
just to see the minds. Just to see the
Oh,
minds go.
oh my
That'd
God. That would I
be
wouldn't
incredible.
even ask questions. I just want to watch.
Honestly, I would just yeah, I'll be sitting down drinking water like, hey, y'all two just talk. Y'all two just talk.
Right.
Oh my
Right.
goodness.
So that's what's coming up so far.
I'm gonna be praying for that to happen too, man. That would be
Oh,
incredible.
oh man, if it happens, you'll be the first person I send it to. Like, hey
I
man,
appreciate it.
check this out. But yeah, that's what we're doing. And then Momentum Media, that's on the content side. Then also on the more professional business side, we are doing we're gonna put out some products like merch and then also other things as well. But I'm also out there for photography, videography, and DJing and web design. So if you need any help in that matter, just book me on my website and I got you if you're in the Orlando, Tampa area.
Hey, let's go. I love the Orlando area. I was at Disney. Me and the family were at Disney last year. No other place like it. No other place like it. No other place like it.
Hmm.
But hey, Alex, he definitely will be back in July for Superman because we were talking about that. That's gonna be
Oh
special.
yeah, I
It's gonna
can't,
be
bro.
special.
Hit me up as
Can't wait for
soon as
that.
you watch it,
I'm gonna try
because
to get Trenton on too. I'm gonna try to get Trenton on too because I know into that. So
we are going on that Thursday. It comes out. Like we're going to go as soon
gonna
as
be
they put up
fire
the pre-order tickets. I'm booking.
for sure. Definitely. Well, that wraps it up for tonight. I'm your host, Lincoln Burns. This has been Full Scope. See you later.
Take it easy.